can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Akos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your hosts on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Akos.
And how are we doing out there all across this great land and around the world? It's that time. It's time for the Conservative Syndicate. Come to you live right now, coast to coast and around the world. We're glad to have you with us tonight. And we got a kind of a bang-up show, one of our more controversial shows, something we haven't done in quite a while. And anyway, just several things going on out there that are going to kind of collectively all come together during the course of the show, and we're going to try to do our best to do what we do on this show, and that is to make sure that people are educated, informed, and, of course, you're involved, you're engaged. That's what we try to do here. We try to engage our listening audience. We're glad you took the time to join us today, and I want to start off the show with, some... I hate to start off shows like this, but I need to. Sad news for us here at the Conservative Syndicate. Our program director at Red State Radio, Primo Mondone, passed away over the weekend, and our heartfelt regret and sorrow goes out to his family and all of us, all the others who are involved with Primo over there at Red State Radio. A very big loss, very big guy, super patriot. One of the guys that's out there he does the trench work to keep a station like Red State Radio on the air, and does it outside of the limelight of what so many people who seek celebrity in this business do. And just passed away over the weekend, and we're just very, very heartfelt loss here. So anyway, we got more coming up here, and what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to have to go to a commercial break. I didn't want to do this at the very beginning here, but we're having a problem with one of our encoders here, and we got to make sure that we get these things running so that our other listeners on our other affiliates can pick up and listen to us. So we're going to go to a quick break here, and we'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right. General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing, and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Are back, and we're back live, coming to you live, coast to coast, and around the world, globally syndicated, nationally acclaimed, the Conservative Syndicate. I'm your host, John Matthews, mad prophet of the airways on a mission from God, and our mission here is to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We do that on this show by educating, informing, and engaging you, our listening audience. And we're glad you took the time. Sorry about that break here. We just had to take care of the tech problem here and got it resolved, at least got it patched up. So those of you out there in Shake and Wake are now hearing us live. Thanks for your patience. And now let's get into what we were talking about, or what we're going to talk about today. There has been a series of events taking place over the past week. And there's a lot of, I don't know, there's so much noise out there. I've started to refer to it as a type of ambient noise that is taking place out there all across this country right now. And that is anything that distracts from the big picture, anything that detracts from what really needs to be paid attention to. There's an old saying, I believe it was Stephen Covey who said it, you have to keep the main thing the main thing. And what we've been witness to in this country, especially over the last 7.5 years, is that the main thing is never the main thing. The issue is never the issue. And that has allowed the left to advance their narrative and their agenda virtually unopposed, outside of a few who catch on to what's going on, and we scream at the top of our lungs, and we warn everybody of what's going on, and we then get labeled and ostracized and placed in a box somewhere, put on the shelf, and just marginalized. We're irrelevant. And the labels and the names and everything else that goes along with it. And you have to be a pretty thick-skinned person to be not only a conservative in this country today, but a Christian conservative, and be willing to put your neck out there on the line every day and stand up for what you know to be right. And what we have is we have one side of our country. I mean, we're pretty much divided down the middle right now, depending on what polls you look at. Anywhere between 47 to 50% of the country thinks that government should take care of us. The other 50% thinks that government should stay out of our lives. And in between all that are these little mini narratives and these little mini issues that are being pitched out there on a regular basis, recycled to a great degree, and just placed out there for us to argue about while the left just continues to do what they want to do. And then you've got people on our side that we've elected to stand up for us and to stop this encroachment on our Constitution and our way of life and our traditions. And they, for fear of being put in the same boxes that we're put into, don't do anything. And it's become the government today in the United States is simply about self-preservation at the government levels. And then we out here, the general public, the electorate, the people that have to put up with these decisions and the leadership that we have today, or lack of leadership that we have today, depending on how you want to look at that, we are the ones that have to put up and we have to defend ourselves. And so this ongoing process of implosion is taking hold of America, and it's running rampant. It's epidemic to a great degree. So anyway, having said all that, one of the things or several of the things that happened over the past week, just within a few days of each other, were several instances of racism, race baiting, and stuff like this that has taken place and is becoming the central narrative of the country today. The central narrative of the country today is that if you're a white American tax-paying citizen, then you are of someone who has white privilege. You've inherited this white privilege from all the white people that came before you, and the white people that established this republic, and the white people that enslaved the blacks and oppressed the minorities, and all for their own gain and greed. That's the narrative today. So being a white American today, being white is the new black. Let me put it that way. What it is now, if you're white today, you are the one that is the one that's looked down on. You are the second-class citizen. You are the one that needs to spend your life handing out reparations to all the people that your ancestors oppressed and took advantage of and enslaved and everything else. And that is, I was watching the other day. Let me give you an example here. What I'm talking about. I hate to confess this because there's some things that I know that my Christian listeners would listen to this or hear it and probably wonder why are you, or what are you doing, or why are you doing that, John? But there is a series on TV that I like watching, and I like watching it because I like the writing behind it and I like the characters in it. And it's a series called Shameless, and the story, if you haven't ever watched it, the storyline is about a family of young people who basically have been forced from a very young age to raise themselves because their father is a derelict and their mother is some bipolar flower child that's out there dancing around in the world somewhere. They don't know where she's at. And the father is a drunk, alcoholic, worthless piece of crud. And so the oldest daughter, what's her name? I don't remember her name. Fiorina is Fiona. That's her name, Fiona. She basically has raised her siblings, and there's three brothers and a sister. 4 brothers and a sister. And she has been the one that has basically raised his family. And each one of them are dysfunctional people in one way or another. And each one of them in other ways are extremely exceptional in what they do. So without going into the entire cast of these people, there is one of the characters in there is the younger brother, the second to the youngest brother. His name is Carl. And this is a kid that takes the most after the father. He doesn't mind doing things wrong. He's got a bit of a little bit of a mental disability in the fact that it's like he doesn't have any conscience. He doesn't really measure things as right or wrong. And during the course of, I think it was the 3rd season, he gets busted for selling drugs. And he's put in juvenile hall. And he spends a couple years in juvenile hall. And while in juvenile hall, he becomes attached to the black gang members that are in the prison. And when he comes out of juvenile hall a couple years later, this kid he comes out and he thinks he's black. And we've seen this. We've seen this all across the board, over the years. Kids that think they are of some other ethnicity than they actually are. So he comes out of juvenile hall, and he's got the cornrows, and he's wearing the bling, and he talks like a black, gangbanger. He comes out, and he begins selling firearms illegally. And he makes a bunch of money doing it. And he names himself White Chocolate. I mean, this guy, this kid, he's probably all of maybe 15 years old. And this guy's a full-fledged gangbanger and thinks he's black. Well, anyway, one of the neighbors, Violet, I think her name is, and she's black. And she's married to this white guy. And he comes up to her and he starts laying some black rap on her, something about, I'm pimping or something like that, and he starts laying his lines on her. And she turns around to him and she says, you're really beginning to bother me with this black thing, And she says to him something I just caught my ear. And this is why I watch the show, because you really get an idea of how Hollywood views this kind of stuff. She says, you're not black. You're no way you're black. You need 400 years of oppression to be black. And that hit me. And I went, and then she says, you keep talking like this, and I'm going to go reverse Trayvon Martin on you. Okay, and that kind of stuff. Now, just think about a short exchange of words like that. And see, this is the stuff that hits my brain, and it just starts processing, and I start putting all these things together. And I sit there and I think, 400 years of oppression for who? I mean, why in today's world, any black person that thinks that they are oppressed by society. Now, I'm not saying that there are not black people who experience racism, and I'm not saying there are no white people who are racist. But I think it's become pretty evident that the whole black movement since the 60s, since after, the 60s and early 70s, when the black movement became community organizing rather than the civil rights movement, that what's been happening here is that black leaders and white leaders, people who have found a cash cow in the black community and have exploited the black community with the idea that they're still being oppressed because they're black. And in doing so, basically licensing the willingness of the communities to not do anything to further themselves, but to allow reparation mentalities to set in and make it the responsibility of government, and in government, a government to take care of them. And of course, government is funded by those who work. And so the whole narrative out there is that white America has all the money, white America has all the power. Government is here to take that power and money and give it to you because you have been, quote unquote, oppressed for over 400 years. And this is the narrative that too many in the black community have bought into. And in buying into this narrative, you have allowed yourselves to remain oppressed. But you're not being oppressed any longer by, quote unquote, white America. You're being oppressed by the very people who are claiming to be the ones that want to free you. You are being enslaved by a different type of person, a different type of politician. You are in the equivalent to a black slave on a plantation that is owned and run by a black plantation owner. And if you don't think that's the case, some of the richest plantation owners during the Civil War were black men who had gained their freedom through whatever means, and they themselves enslaved blacks for their plantations. And that's really all it is. The Al Sharptons, the Jesse Jacksons, the Black Lives Matter, the Barack Obamas, the Eric Holders, now the Loretta Lynches, all these people that are out there trying to tell you, the NAACP, the ACLU, the Black Panthers, the Black Caucus, all these organizations that are out there trying to convince you that white America is so hell-bent on keeping you oppressed because they're so afraid of who you are and what you can do. We're not afraid of anything. You've allowed yourself to be enslaved by the very people that are telling you they're trying to free you. So what do we have to do? We don't have to do anything. We just watch. Of course, we're the ones that take the blame. We're the ones that take the hit. And then you wonder why you think that white America is just supposed to sit here and go, oh, gee, I feel sorry for you. I understand your plight. I'm sorry. You know, I come from Irish Catholic ancestors. They came over here. They were enslaved just like black men were. They were sold in slavery. They were indentured servants. They weren't allowed to vote. You know, and I'm not making it, you know, I'm not saying that again, that there isn't racism and that there isn't oppression, but this general idea, this narrative that all of white America wants black people kept down because we feel threatened by them is bunk. And you people allow yourselves to get into this, be suckered into this narrative, and by doing so, you just basically participate in your own enslavement. Now, I said all that to say this. As I said, these events that took place over the last week, culminating last night in the Oscars. Let me tell you something about the Oscars last night. It was the lowest audience they've had in 8 years. Now, why is that? Why is it? If diversity is such a telling issue, if it is something that is just driving the narrative out there, if it's because we just don't have enough black actors and actresses and people behind the scenes getting the Oscar, and if the public is so sympathetic and so empathetic to what it is you're going through, why would a show like last night's Oscars, which highlighted and showcased the diversity issue, why would the ratings be so low? The lowest they've had in 8 years, lower than last year. Last year was low. This year was lower. Both Oscars hosted by Chris Rock, who went out of his way, of course, to use racism to do what? To carry the message of white oppression of the black community? No, to further his career by exploiting the very people that he said he was standing up there trying to defend. See, Whoopi Goldberg being out there in a janitor's outfit, mopping the floor on a takeoff of some show that's out there with, what's her name, Vicki Lawrence, whatever her name is, I don't even know what her name is, Jennifer Lawrence, whatever. Do you think Whoopi Goldberg's out there trying to stand up for the black community? Hell no. She's the head host on a show that's run by white people, for crying out loud. And she gets on the show every day and talks about how terrible white people are. Because it's good ratings. Well, it's not good ratings. The show sucks. They've been trying to cancel it now for a couple of years. But the point is, these very people that have made it in the industry, people like Chris Rock and Whoopi Goldberg, are going to stand up there and try to tell the rest of black America that they're being held down. And they're being held down by none other than Whitey. And if you really got into it, the white Jews, because the white Jews supposedly run Hollywood. So all this stuff is out there. And it's put out there in a way that now what you've got is you had a whole room full of white people last night sitting in front of Chris Rock who mocked them, just very straightforward mocked white Hollywood And they all laughed and gave him standing ovations, and today all talked about how great he was and how great the Oscars were, that this man stood up there and told America how oppressed we are, but we loved it. It was good entertainment, that kind of thing. Just think of the idiocy that you have, the level of lack of intelligence that a person has to have to sit in a room and listen to somebody berate them for 3 hours and tell me that you enjoyed it. Tell me that it was great to watch. It was so entertaining. It's so entertaining to be called a white racist. It's so entertaining to be called a cracker. It's so entertaining to be told that I am the reason why this gentleman up here standing on the stage who has made millions of dollars making fun of white America is so relevant, and I am not relevant. I mean, you listen to some of these people, they almost apologize for being white, for crying out loud. Now, why are we even talking about this? Well, because this has been the narrative from 7.5 years ago. This was the narrative that was introduced by our first half-white president for the purpose of dividing and conquering, bring about the fundamental transformation of America by forcing or bullying or shaming America into giving him what he wants. Let's take all the money from Whitey and let's give it to the blacks. That's really the agenda. That's really what it's all about. It's called creative destruction. Let's create a new class of people, but let's do it at the expense of the old class of people. Let's not do it by offering the same opportunity, or better yet, because the same opportunity has always been there, let's not do it by telling people or encouraging people to, 1, get an education, 2, stay married, take care of the kids that you have, 3, work hard, and pay the price for success. No, you don't have to do that because your ancestors paid the price for white America's success with their backs. And so you should just be given something. You should have all the free stuff that your ancestors supposedly made possible for those who came before them. Think about all that. Think about that combination of thoughts, the thought process behind that. Again, the Oscars last night, low rating. The last 2 years, lowest in 8 years since 2008. 2008, so not quite 8 years. But the point being what? Who's been hosting them? Chris Rock. Why do you think white America is not watching the Oscars? Because white America doesn't need to be reminded, unless you're part of Hollywood, doesn't need to be reminded or doesn't need to be scolded, doesn't need to be shamed into thinking that we are the problem with America. The most prosperous nation ever, the most powerful nation comparable to any other empire in the course of history, and yet somehow we did it all wrong. And the most generous nation in the world, and perhaps in history, there's no other nation that gives the way we do. We give to our enemies, for crying out loud. We go to war with them because they attack us, and then we rebuild their country. We do all this stuff because we're Americans, but yet we, in the white community, are the problem. Because we've done it on the backs of everybody else. None of us have ever worked. None of us have invested everything that we've had. We didn't build that, if we can take the words of our president. Somebody else did it for us, and we just sat back in our easy chair on the plantation porch and watched everybody work their ass off. What a bunch of bunk. I'm going to go into a couple of these events here. We're coming up on a break here, but I'm going to highlight these events that I'm talking about so that I can just drive home this narrative that I'm carrying right now, because I am so sick and fed up with this racist narrative driving everything that anyone says. Donald Trump's taking heat. There's a lot of reasons Donald Trump should be taking heat, but it's not because David Duke of the KKK endorsed him over the weekend. Who the hell cares? You people make the KKK relevant and you lend them credibility when you make issues out of things like this. Trump is saying, I already know who the guy is. He may or may not know who he is, but he's downplaying the importance of an endorsement from a racist. So, why can't we do that? Why do we have, it's a big deal. Donald doesn't want to disavow this endorsement. He doesn't want to dress this guy down. Who the hell cares? The guy's irrelevant. He's irrelevant. He runs an organization that's irrelevant and only gets credibility when it's politically expedient for those on the left to be able to attack somebody over it and make them look like something perhaps that they are not. I'm not saying Trump is not a racist. I don't know. But I could care less. If I was a candidate, I'd say I could care less what somebody like this thinks. You guys keep giving him credibility, he'll keep talking. You'll ignore him, he'll go away. That's the way to do it. We got to go to a break. When we come back, we'll continue right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Attention taxpayers! If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. And I'll tell you, I'm just on a rip here. I'm on a tear because of this situation that's going on with this racist crap, this race baiting that's just out there. It incenses me beyond words at some point in time. I got to call Robert Cardosa. It's our day to tap in with him, and we'll stand by here and we'll wait for him to pick up for us on us, and we will get our conversation going on with him. We do this every Monday and Friday, and I think when I'm on the wrong phone here, let me get the other one back here. Let's call Skype. There we go. And we're going to call Skype and get Bob on the line here. I picked the wrong one. Sorry, I had the wrong phone number there. Got several of them with Bob. So let's see.
Hey, John, you there?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm here. How you doing?
I'm good. You know what? I thought I had you before, and then I lost you, and I thought, oh, boy, that's a good way to start the week. You start off with technical problems right at the beginning.
Yeah, well, I started out with a little bit of a tech problem today, so I kind of a little bit discombobulated, but we got it figured out real fast. How's it going with you?
Hey, going really good. Hey, listen, can you spell discombobulated?
Actually, I probably could. Discobulatted, I think.
Well, you know what? As a well-educated man, I'm going to tell you that I think you're right. So listen. I know that we're going to talk about a part of what we're going to talk about today is something that hits my hot button, and I'm sure it does yours too, because you are a pro-life individual, and I am as well, mostly anyway. And I have a real issue with Black Lives Matter because I really believe that all lives matter, and I hate the idea that people are trying to single it out as an issue that only Black Lives Matter.
Well, I think they should change the name of the movement to Only Black Lives Matter.
Well, that's the way they feel about it, but that's not the way I feel about it.
Because that's what it's become. I spent the better part of today in discussions with several people who are, by the way, white, and have fallen into the trap of this narrative that Black America is downtrodden and oppressed because of white America. Now, I would have bought that all the way up to 1964. But after that, we now have laws. Everybody wants laws, and we have laws now that make that wrong and undoable. The people, I'm not saying I have to preface all my remarks by saying I'm not saying that there are not those in the Black community or the Asian community or Hispanic community, whatever, that are not oppressed. And I'm not saying that there are not white racists. But what we see here today is this idea, the narrative, is that if you are white and American and middle class and a taxpayer, then you somehow are responsible for the plight of every Black American that doesn't have everything handed to them on a golden plate. And this is what's really getting me. I watched the several events that took place over the past week. I was talking about it before I came on your show here. The Chris Rock crap at the Oscars last night. This guy spent the whole night mocking and making fun of Hollywood, white Hollywood. In fact, I think he started the show out by calling it White People's Choice Awards instead of the Oscars, okay? Now, here's the irony of this. He stands in front of majority white Hollywood celebrities for 3 hours and berates them for being white, and they applaud and give him a standing ovation.
Well, yeah, but now whose fault is that? Is it the audience or is it him? Here's the thing.
Well, it's everybody.
My take is this: Chris Rock is a successful Black comedian actor who has been chosen to host the Oscars and get paid plenty of money for it. Who on earth is going to say that he's being deprived?
Well, it's not. It's not. See, this is where, like you said, people fall into the trap of the narrative. The narrative is that white America is still oppressing Black America and any other minority that they want to throw in at any given time. Here's the thing. what Chris Rock did last night, as Whoopi Goldberg did in one of the sketches. I mean, they have plenty of co-conspiracents. Mm-hmm. This is what they do. They use the race issue to exploit the very people that they say they're representing. Chris Rock was on a promotion tour last night. Who was he promoting? Chris Rock. He was showing that he's this great comedian and that he needs to be hired for more movies, or he needs to be given a contract in Vegas, or whatever it is he's looking for. See, he used the black community to further his own career. That is what is going on with the black narrative. The problem is that we have now, for the last 60 years, or since the Civil Rights Movement, when the Civil Rights Movement morphed into the Black Rights Movement, when it morphed into the Black Activist Movement, the Black Liberation Theology, the Black Panthers, all these other, the Al Sharptons, the Jesse Jacksons, it became a business for these people. So all they're doing really are business commercials, exploiting the very people that they're supposed to be wanting to free. They're actually enslaving them by convincing them that they don't have a snowflake's chance in hell of making it unless white America, the money that white America has created, has to be redistributed to them. It's
okay, so let me interrupt you for just a second, because I don't want this to sound racial in any way, and it's going off a little bit too far. And here's the thing, my play on it: the movie business, the entertainment business, they call it a business. Now, if you're the owner or the top manager of a business, your job is bottom line, is profitability, to put out a quality product at a quality profit. And they have done studies on these things. They have people that actually pick the people based on the storylines. And the fact that you are white or red or black or brown or yellow makes no difference at all. They're picking people based on the parts that are there and based on the profitability of the product they're trying to sell. And the fact that you're black doesn't enter you any more opportunity than the guy that's white. Because if I'm the chief executive, I want the bottom line. That's all I'm interested in.
Well, I agree with you 100%, but I am not concerned with now sounding racial, because they have brought me into this dialogue. They have brought me into this conversation that I would just as soon not have any part of. But if you're going to sit there and you're going to try to continually berate me and downtrodden, you're going to completely come at me. You're going to keep coming at me and telling me that because of my views as an evangelical Christian conservative, that I am racist just by the very nature of being an evangelical Christian conservative. I'm going to come right back in your face and say, I'm not a meek Christian. I'm not one of these people that says, oh, yeah, the meek inherit the earth. Let me sit down, you paint welcome on my back, and you can walk all over me. That ain't going to happen.
Well, and no one wants that to happen. But you know what? I've known you a long, long time, and I can tell you, and I can tell my audience and your audience, you are the farthest thing from a racist.
Yeah, I'm an equal opportunity basher, if we want to put it that way. Okay, and one of the things, I got into a very deep conversation with a young lady today, a friend I went to Bible college with, who now lives in, I think, Wyoming or Montana or something. She's married to a black man. She has 3 interracial children, and she's trying to convince me that my views on things is based on the fact that, she said, well, you want a white president. I said, a white president? I never once said I wanted a white president. I said I want a conservative president.
Yeah.
And I don't care what color they are. And if you want to put it in proper perspective, I have as much, I despise Hillary Clinton, Harry Reid, Bill Clinton, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, all the rest of them as much, if not more, than I do Barack Obama. But it's not because of their color. It's because of what they represent. It's what they say. They lie.
I think you agree with me, and I don't care what color they are. I'm not trying to pick a black president or a yellow president or a brown president. I want a qualified president, and if he happens to be black or yellow or red, I don't care.
No, I mean, early on in this campaign, this GOP campaign, Ben Carson was my guy. And the only reason I just said, okay, I'm not going to support this guy is because I just think he's in over his head. I don't think he's not capable. I just don't think he's got the experience to deal with it. So I'm thinking, okay.
I think Ben Carson's a lot smarter than both of us give him credit for. I think the guy has taken this to the bank. It's all about selling his book.
Oh, yeah, and it could be. It was the same. I was a big supporter of Herman Cain when he ran back in the 2012 election. I thought, here's a guy, but he came out with his tax plan, and I thought, nah, that isn't what I like, so I'm not going to support the guy. But I could care less. I just want somebody who's going to stop this madness.
Yeah,
I don't care.
I'm with you. Hey, listen, we need to take a short commercial break. We'll be right back with John Matthews and the...
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. And we're back, and you're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives, and we're going to hook back up with our good buddy Bob Cardosa over here at Robert Cardosa Live and finish our discussion that we're having with him. I don't know if he wants to stay on this or go in a different direction, but we'll pick up.
And we're back. And we're back with John Matthews in the syndication. Sorry, John, I was pushing the wrong button, couldn't figure out why I couldn't hear me or you.
Yeah.
Anyway, you know what? I think that, the one thing that, because what we really wanted to talk about, and I don't know that I got you off on the wrong track here anyway, and that is that I hate the idea that any segment of society says that they matter more than any other segment of society. And so when I knew that you were going to talk about, Black Lives Matter, and I just take offense to that. I think all lives matter. That's part of being a human being.
Well, now that's true. That's true, but that is not. It doesn't serve the narrative.
Yeah.
And you and I understand that, and I think the vast majority of Americans know that. I think many of the people in Black Lives Matter know that.
Yeah.
That it's all about everybody. The entire leftist narrative that we're supposed to have utopia and everybody stands, regardless of color, creed, or religion, and we stand in a circle and sing Kumbaya. I think that's. I've always admired the nobility of the ideology that the world should get along, but it's not anything to do with reality. It's delusional to think that we're always going to agree, that we're always going to take the other person's concerns and we're always going to put the other person first. That is not human nature. We're fallible people. We're sinful people. That's what happens. We make selfish decisions. We do stupid things. That's the nature of the beast. But this whole idea of, the Black Lives Matter is one of those movements that has caught on. It caught on. It was something that, this is what community organizers do. They throw things out there. They have strategies. Sal Alinsky says in his Rules for Radicals, the best tactic is the one that everybody enjoys. And that's what Black Lives Matter is. It's a movement that really has nothing to say verbatim, but it encompasses everything. And you have the blacks that feel like they're being oppressed because they've been told they're being oppressed.
Yeah, but John, don't you believe? This is what I'm not going to tell you what you believe, because you're more than capable of doing that. But I can tell you what I believe. You know what? I hate the idea that people who are not qualified to go into certain jobs or careers or educational institutions, they're simply not qualified. They don't have the aptitude for it. We should lower the bar so that they can go in there. We keep people who are better qualified to perform in those areas. I just think that's absolutely wrong. And I think that, if people, regardless of their race, think that they should get a better chance than anybody else based on their color or their religion or whatever the heck that might be, it seems to me that that's wrong. I think that you need to get ahead in life based on your own hard work and aptitude and achievement. That's how you get ahead in this world. It should not just be handed to you.
Well, that's the American paradigm. That's what makes American exceptional, is that we say it doesn't matter. You take whatever gifts you've been given by your Creator, and you go out and you maximize it. You capitalize on it. But when we have the narrative that tells us that somebody needs to make a career out of flipping burgers at McDonald's, and so therefore they should get $15 an hour to make it fair. That is the exact opposite of what the American dream is about, and that is what those who exploit minority communities understand. See, they understand. People like Barack Obama and people that head up this Black Lives Matter, and even people like Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, America's first real black president, these people are the ones that understand the power of words. They understand how to establish a narrative. They don't want people advancing. For instance, one of the events that took place last week at a Clinton fundraiser, she's in front of a bunch of all-white people, $500 a head, to sit in somebody's house and listen to her talk. And a young lady from Black Lives Matter comes in the middle of this, paid $500 to get in, and unfurls a banner that says, "I am not a super predator." And she was talking about Clinton's remarks back in 1994 when she said that black people that are parts of gangs are super predators and they need to be brought to heel. So she's confronting Hillary Clinton on this. And Clinton is trying to respond to her. Eventually the girl was ushered out by security. What's the first thing Clinton did? She turns back to the people that have paid all this money to see her, and she says, "Now back to the real issues." Okay, she didn't know that the mic was still on, and they picked it up, and she says, "Now back to the real issues." See, they don't think the black community is really an issue unless it's politically expedient. Unfortunately, these people that are involved in Black Lives Matter and other movements like this, the Black Panthers, the whole 9 yards, are people that are sitting there thinking that these people really give a horse's patoot as to what's going on in their life, and they're really going to fix it. Look at the unemployment rate during Obama's administration in the black community. It is still up around 20%.
Yeah. As a businessman, or as a retired businessman, I can tell you that I took offense at the minimum wage issues anyway. That's not supposed to give you a living wage. That's an entry-level position for young people as they're going to school and developing skills to move along and climb the ladder and get on with society and be successes. You know what? The truth is that if the country, what they're trying to do on a socialistic basis is to make that a lifestyle, a one where people can have no desire, no ambition, but to flip burgers, that's not America.
No, it isn't. But that's exactly what the narrative is designed to do. The narrative is designed to keep white America feeling guilty and continue to enslave minority communities, especially the black community, into thinking that the best they can ever hope for is to get $15 an hour flipping burgers. So it feeds both sides of the element. The problem is...
But you know what the fallacy of that is? The fallacy is if you look around, there are plenty of black examples of how that's not true. I mean, look at Sidney Poitier, look at Harry Belafonte, look at
don't say Bill Cosby.
Oh no, I was going to, and I just choked on it. But you talk; these people were successes. Forget about their morals; they were successes, and there are a lot of black examples. Look at Ben Carson. You talk about he is the top infant neurosurgeon in the world. These people make successes. They just had to apply themselves. There's plenty of examples of not flipping burgers.
And see, the reasoning of the leftist community is simply this, and this is you brought this up. This is something that was presented to me today in this dialogue. When I mentioned the fact that we were talking about whether or not Obama was really black, mm-hmm. and the idea being is that blacks believe that he's black, okay, because of the color of his skin. But if you talk to a lot of black conservatives out there, people like Thomas Sowell, Camelia Moore, people like this that understand the black experience, quote unquote, they will tell you that Barack Obama is not black because he did not live in a black community. He was raised by white folk. He's attended good schools, private schools. He had none of the disadvantages of being black that many in the black community was. So what am I told when I say this? I'm told that, well, these are people that sold out to the whites. Okay, so you can't win and you can't lose. It's a catch-22. Why? Because the narrative is everything, not the facts, not the truth. American exceptionalism is only exceptional for Americans that are white. That's the narrative. And so anything else that contradicts that is just dismissed or discarded or justified. And people like Clarence Thomas and Ben Carson and Herman Cain and some of the people that we've seen over the past decades, these people are just Uncle Toms. That's it.
Hey, listen, we have to, unfortunately, we have to go. I'd like you to give a plug to your show real quick.
Yeah, we're at the conservativesyndicate.net. You can go to our website there. You can pick up all of our archives, and you can find out anything you want to know about our show. Bob is one of our panel members, so if you want to find out a little bit of dirt on Bob, you can go to our website.
There's a lot of dirt, boy, if you want to find it. Anyway, hey, John, fantastic show. Look forward to talking to you. I want everybody to know that John and I are together every Monday and every Friday at this time, and this is just terrific. On Friday, hopefully you can give me an update on Joe Hakos.
Joe's doing fine. He's recovering. He should be back, and we're hoping midweek this week. He's finally starting to feel good again.
That sounds great. Have a great week, John, and we'll talk to you on Friday.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
All right, now, the rest of you?
Okay, guys. Let's see, we're coming up here, and okay, we got about a minute left to go. I hope you enjoyed that little exchange there. And I am going to, when we come back here, we're coming up at the top of the hour here, so we're going to be pitching our commercials, and we're going to do the Edwards Notebook, which is coming up here in just a moment. In fact, I got to get that thing queued up here right now as I'm speaking to you. I thought I'd already had it queued up, and where is it? There it is. Okay. Oh, yeah, there it is. It is already queued up. Okay, so we're going to be listening to the Edwards Notebook. We're going to pay a couple bills, and then when we come back, I'm going to stay on this. I guess I'm going to stay on this rant for a little while during the course of the day here. And I'm taking up Eric Holder's challenge. Back in 2008, he came out and challenged America to have an honest dialogue about racism. And so that's what we're going to do. We've done it before. We'll do it again, and we'll do it as many times as we need to get the point across that this exploitation of the black community by those who are of color or non-color for the purpose of power grabs, exploiting the very people they say they represent and want to free. That's what you need to understand about this. This is the greatest divide that we've had in this country since the Civil War, and who knows, it may result in the Civil War if it continues to go unchecked. So stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment here at the Conservative Syndicate.
American students are right to be sick and tired of the two-headed monster political system of today. But they must learn before it's too late that neither Bernie, Hillary, or Rubio are good alternatives. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, young people are going out in droves to get involved in or to openly show their disapproval with what they consider to be the status quo political and economic system in America. But unfortunately, thanks but no thanks to years of government school indoctrination against all that is good, including liberty, the Constitution, Bill of Rights, the traditional family, and even God himself, many high school and college students believe that communism is the way the republic should lean. They are hoodwinked into thinking that communism, which gives all power to the government, will somehow unveil more freedom for we the people. When asked how will companies grow to provide needed jobs, many students just said the government will provide jobs and that companies are all corrupt. Such a sad state of affairs. And to add insult to injury, America's government school system is the most expensive self-destructive operation of any nation throughout history. However, I am inclined to believe that America will soon witness a positive reversal of this madness as providential wisdom returns to the United States of America. I'm Ron Edwards.
Blowing away the myths and revealing the truth. You can continue to blow away the myths with Ron Edwards on Facebook, Twitter, and theronedwards.com.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right, General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Hey, all you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Akos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The conservative syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated conservative syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
Yeah, we're back. You're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews. And along with my co-host, Joe Hakos, is still nursing a bad back, but I talked to him today. He's feeling much better, and we hope that he will be back. We're hoping midweek, no later than midweek. So just continue to keep him up in prayer. We appreciate it. We believe prayer works, and it's working for him. So, just really bad situation here. He was, he's getting better. Sounded very good today, and feeling like, he might be back in midweek. So, let's just hope that plays out right. Okay, now, I have been, for the most part of the day today, ranting about this Black Lives Matter movement in particular, but the general narrative that has been carried ever since the civil rights movement turned into the Black Power movement. Let's put it that way. This is something that, if you really pay attention to what's going on, this is how this stuff plays out. And it's like everything else the left does. It's not just when we talk about race. It's about anything. You can talk about the homosexual movement. You can talk about socioeconomics. You can talk about anything that goes on from the left's perspective. Bernie Sanders is the epitome of it all. That is what? What are we talking about now? Democratic socialism, the nationalization of private sector, but letting private sector absorb the risk, but the government determining how the money will be redistributed. That's the end game. That's the end game of the leftists. And whether or not they will admit it, everybody on the left today is, to one degree or another, a democratic socialist, some more than others. Bernie Sanders is the out-of-the-closet guy. He's the guy that will tell you, this is what I think, this is what I believe. He can't define what he believes, but he'll tell you what it looks like. It looks like Sweden, that kind of thing. It looks like Finland. It's that the government regulates and distributes everything and provides everything, and those in the working class, they get taxed out the yuza, but it gets redistributed, and so they got free health care and free education, and everybody's happy. Well, I think that kind of thing might work when you're a country of less than 20 million people. But you look at a country like America, over 300 million people, it's not doable. It's not doable. And even Finland denies that they're socialistic. So Bernie Sanders doesn't even know what he's talking about. But that doesn't bother the leftists. The leftist wants us to believe that he understands or she understands what we need better than we understand what we need. And that is the whole thing behind the black narrative. And as I said, when this thing morphed over from civil rights, equality, to the Black Power movement, which is superiority. And this is the pattern of liberalism, progressivism. It starts out saying we have an equal voice. And we don't feel that voice is being heard or taken as seriously as the voices of others. And so we are going to begin to demonstrate, and we're going to begin to protest, and we're going to begin to put out there the narrative of what we think is real and what should be happening and everything else. Okay, that's fine. That's America. That's what America is about. You voice your opinion. You campaign for what you believe in. You elect the people that will support what you believe in. All that's American. But then what it does is it starts to progress into this affirmative action mode, where now we have to, because we can't obtain or we can't attain the same equality that others have, we need to start get special privilege. Okay, we white folk are recipients of white privilege. We have white privilege because we're white, and because our framers and the founders of this country were white. And therefore, it's just been handed down generation to generation. And so everything has just come to be accepted that if it's white-based, it's acceptable. If it's not, it's not acceptable. And so what happens is we now need affirmative action. We now need reparation. We now need you to make up for all the shortcomings that we have to deal with because our ancestors were oppressed and enslaved. Now, what it's turned into is the superiority movement. Black Lives Matter is the superiority movement. That is it's no longer about affirmative action. It's no longer about equality. It's about hand it over to us because we deserve it. We no longer want you to hand us, redistribute money through government. We want you to give it all to us. We want it all. We want to be able to run the show because it's our time. We're the ones that actually built this country. Nobody else did. And, as Obama says to many white Americans, you didn't build that. Somebody else did it. You did it off the back of somebody else. And so now it's gone from, it always transcends and it morphs into from saying, let's all be equal, to give us special privilege so we can be equal, to we no longer want to be equal, we want to be superior. This is the curse. This is the problem that this is the sin. The penance for your sin against us is that we get to everything that you have, and we get to run the show, and we'll get to dictate to you what is good and what is evil, and what is right and what is wrong. That is how this stuff plays out. That's how it plays out. We'll be right back on a short segment here. Going to take a break. When we come back, I will get into these events that I want to talk about because they just will continue, I think, to demonstrate, exemplify, and drive home the point that I'm making here, that Black Lives Matter it should be renamed Only Black Lives Matter. We'll be right back.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Attention taxpayers! If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Talk from real conservatives, and I hope you take the time in your day-to-day activities to every once in a while just check out our website. Go out to the conservativesyndicate.net and you can pick up the archive of this show, any of our shows. You can find out what you need to know or want to know about our panel members, our Conservative Syndicate panel. We have 5 or 6, I think, of the best pundits and activists out there that are really on top of their game. And what we blog, some of us write. It's out there. Everything is out there. Resources, you want to check out some of the places that we go to for our information, just check us out at the conservativesyndicate.net. Okay, now, I've been talking all day about this whole narrative, because the narrative is everything. The narrative is what's driving this country. And the point, I think the best way to demonstrate that is to understand, you take somebody like Donald Trump or Bernie Sanders. Now, in traditional circles, if we were at where we were as a country just 4 years ago, we saw the establishment candidates facing off. Barack Obama has become the establishment for the left. Mitt Romney was the establishment for the right. And the ideologies drove that election. Barack Obama with his redistribution economy and agenda and regulations and everything else. Mitt Romney representing the Republicans, which is governed by default. Just let everything go and then don't really try to do too much of anything. And if we have to do something, we'll offer our own version of expanded government. This election has been completely different. And the reason why, I'll say this, the reason why we are where we are today is because the Republican Party continued to marginalize its voters. Dating back to 2010, when the Tea Party put into office and brought about one of the largest changes of majority in the history of the country, I think since 1948, and we had 63 members of the House of Representatives go into the House and take the majority away from the Democrats because of the Tea Party movement. And then in 2012, we took the Senate, and on both occasions, we were told by the Republican Party that they were going to stop Obama. And if all they needed was a majority. First, we need the majority in the House and Senate. Well, we got the House. The next was, we need the majority in the Senate. We gave them the majority. Now their argument is that they need the White House. But they don't want somebody like Donald Trump in the White House because Donald Trump just might expose them for what they are. Now, I'm saying that to say this. Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders have completely obliterated the idea or the belief or the practice of establishments determining the politics of the country. Donald Trump, with all of his faults and all of his fallacies and all of his shallowness, all of his lack of ideas, other than, we're going to make it great, we're going to build a wall. How are you going to build a wall? Well, we'll just build it. We'll build it, and Mexico's going to pay for it. How are they going to? They won't pay for it. Oh, yeah, they'll pay for it, and we'll build it 10 feet higher now because I say they won't pay for it. And it's going to be great. And I'm going to make deals that are just going to make America great. Your head's going to spin. It's just going to be great. That's his campaign. It's going to be not unlike Obama. Obama was hope and change. Yeah, we're the change we've been waiting for, and we're just going to make it great. We're going to do all this good stuff. We're going to make everything transparent. We're going to turn this all around. We're going to rebuild the middle class. It was all, but no talk about how it was going to be done. And that's what we're getting with Trump. But here's the point: Trump is different in the fact that what he's done is he has destroyed the ideology of the Republican Party because, well, it didn't actually destroy it. He exposed the destruction of the GOP. That the fact that they no longer adhered to any platform but self-preservation. He came out, and people are not voting for Donald Trump because of his ideology. That's what you really have to understand about this guy. His ideology is as liberal as they come in so many respects. People don't care about that. So many conservatives don't care about that. Independents don't care about that. There are a mass number of Democrats that are coming over to the Republican Party just to vote for Trump. Why? Ideology doesn't mean anything anymore. What they're upset about is that they're no longer being listened to. And we've known this for a long time. And now what's coming out is people saying, okay, you don't want to listen to us, we're not going to listen to you. And we're just going to do everything we can to make sure that you people are pack it up and go home. I don't think a lot of people care whether Donald Trump will lead us down the path of destruction. I don't think people care whether Bernie Sanders will lead us down the path of socialism and destruction by a different means. What they care about is that they feel nobody's listening to them. In the very same way that Black Lives Matter is out there trying to tell us that nobody's listening to them, the vast majority of the rest of America are saying, I'd take a Bernie Sanders because at least he's honest, or I'll take a Donald Trump because he'll destroy it all. He'll burn it to the ground, and it needs to be burned to the ground. Okay, neither one of these are reasonable approaches to things, but they are understandable. Now, let's get back and say, having said that, ideology means nothing. This is what you got to keep in the back of your mind. Ideology is no longer the issue. Principles is no longer the issue. The issue is truth. The issue is Bernie Sanders is honest about who he is. He's nuttier than a fruitcake, but he's honest about how nutty he is. Donald Trump is telling things as they are. He's nutty as a fruitcake, but at least he's telling us the things the way they are. And you can't argue with either one of those to such a degree that, well, at this point we'll stop outside of some kind of major convulsion that goes on within the establishment that brings these guys down one way or the other. Bernie Sanders looks like he's fading out just because, for whatever reason. I don't know. I don't follow his campaign that close. But barring an indictment on Hillary Clinton, she'll probably be the one that ends up there because the establishment, see, the left knows how to adjust because they've been deceiving for decades. They know how to adjust midstream. They can change midstream into whatever shade they need to be. They've done it for decades. They'll continue to do it because they're good at it. Deception knows how to deceive. People on the right and the Conservative Party and the GOP, we've taken for granted that the people we elect are honest and trustworthy and people of integrity, and we're just now beginning to catch up. And so the Trump phenomenon is that we have figured it out, and we're mad, and we're pissed off, and we don't care if the whole place burns to the ground. We're just not going to stand for it anymore. And the left is just sitting over there just waiting, just licking their chops, waiting for it to happen so that they can bring in full-fledged nationalism, socialism, Marxism, communism, whatever combination they end up with. And we'll be sitting around going, well, what happened? What happened? Let's look at these events that I'm talking about here. I covered the first one when we were talking with Bob Cardoza. The protester that showed up at a Hillary Clinton fundraiser. And she stood up there in the middle of this fundraiser, unfurled her Black Lives Matter banner, and declared openly that she was not a super predator. And what does she mean by that? Well, what happened was back in 1994, her husband, Bill Clinton, passed a tough on crime policy or law. It was called the Violent Crime Control Act of 1994. And it imposed harsh punishments on a variety of nonviolent offenses, and is widely accepted as a driving force behind the explosion of the incarceration over the next decade of Black America. See, what are we told? We're told that Black America makes up the majority of the prison population. And the Republicans are blamed for that because we hate blacks. And we would just as soon see them in prison. But it is the Democrats that initiated the legislation, just like it's the Democrats who stood against the Civil Rights Act back in 1964, and it was the Republicans that passed that. In the same way, the Republicans are being blamed for the Violent Crime Control Act of 1994, which caused the mass incarceration of the black community, and it was passed by Bill Clinton. Now, understandably, Bill Clinton had to get that bill through a Congress which was a representative or was a Republican majority. So the Republicans had their hands in this also. But it was Bill Clinton who initiated it. And Hillary Clinton was quoted at one time as saying something to the effect of, they need these people in the black community that are guilty of these crimes need to be brought to heel. That was the phrase that she used. And this girl was, and she called them super predators. And this girl stood up there and says, I'm not a super predator. Well, Hillary Clinton smiled at the girl, tried to engage the girl in conversation. It didn't work so well because the girl wanted to say what she wanted to say. She paid $500 to get in. She was going to say what she wanted to say. But Clinton, the report that I'm reading here says after she was gone, Clinton was visibly annoyed, not shocked, not taken back, not concerned, but annoyed. And the mics were still running, and she said, back to the issues. See, this girl, in her mind, was not the issue. This girl was standing up there talking about the movement that Hillary Clinton has been using to paint the Republicans as white supremacists and domestic terrorists. That we want the black community oppressed. We want them subjected. We want them put in their place. And so this whole idea that her husband, who is the one that brought about this legislation that has caused the mass incarceration of the black community, that the black community has been told is the Republicans' fault, and is saying it's because of Republicans and Republican leadership, and if we have another Republican in the White House, the black community will suffer from it even more than they've suffered before, came about under the tenure and administration of Bill Clinton. What is Hillary Clinton's response? Let's get back to the real issues. What are the real issues in a room full of white people paying $500 to listen to Clinton talk? I don't know what the real issues are. Oh, I know what they are. Reproduction rights, the right to kill unborn babies, homosexual rights, the right to marry somebody of the same sex. That's what those people sitting in that room are concerned about. And I bet you, just about bet you, there were some in there who are greasing Clinton's palms. What can you do for me once you get in office? Yeah, I bet you that's what's going on too. But this young lady who came in as black, so what I'm getting at here is this woman and those who have read this article from Black Lives Matter and whatever other liberal outlets are out there miss completely the fact that Hillary Clinton could care less about Black Lives That Matter. What she cared about is pandering to you to get you to vote for her. And in South Carolina, that's what they did. This took place the night before the South Carolina primary, and you overwhelmingly in South Carolina supported a woman who doesn't even think you're an issue. Think about that. Think about that. Now, the other event, one of the other events here, we can talk about it real quick here. What's her name? Melissa Harris Perry, the great race-baiting commentator, pundit over at MSNBC, has quit her job, or not quit her job, was fired because she was upset that her weekend show, see, her daily show has been relegated to the weekend, just like Al Sharpton's, because they've been deemed irrelevant. They're not drawing viewers. The network is saying, we got to rehash our program here. They've let go some other people. Sergeant Schultz over there. Some of the other people are gone. And so what's happened now, she's upset. So she goes on a racist rant. She says, I'm being used as a tool for their purposes, meaning the network affiliate, the network talking heads up there, okay? I am not a token mammy or little brown bobblehead. I'm not owned by NBC executives or MSNBC. I want my show back. Now, why was she preempted? Because the station decided to cover the campaign. She thought her black race-baiting rants were more important than covering the campaign. So she's been let go. And what's her reasoning? What's the reason? Well, it's because I'm black. It's because I'm black. That's why they preempted me. The campaign is more important than this black life that matters. What I have to say is more important than what's going on in the national economy or the national dialogue or anything else, because I am black. There's your superiority. There's your going from equality to superiority. So that's one of the examples. I got a couple more here I want to talk about, and then we'll sum this up as to where we're going, what I'm talking about in terms of superiority over equality. That's where we're at. But right now it's time for Moments of Madness. Stay with us right here, the Conservative Syndicate. We'll be right back. Today on Moments of Madness. As the Trump campaign continues to wreak havoc, like a disgruntled elephant escaping the circus from its cruel ringmaster during the main event, the astonishment on display of the now decades-old GOP establishment, yes, it has been around that long, reminds me of Mel Brooks' 2005 film, The Producers. If you watch this over-the-top satire that targets the hypocrisy that permeates Hollywood, you'll remember chronically depressed, introverted bookkeeper Leo Bloom, played by Matthew Broderick, who, while looking to escape his mundane 9-to-5 existence as a bookkeeper, teams up with washed-up Broadway producer Max Bialystock, played by Nathan Hall. After determining during an audit of Bialystock's books the IRS seldom audit failed productions, the two set out to produce the worst play they can find in hope of embezzling the capital raised free from any lawful oversight. They choose a play entitled Springtime for Hitler, written by Nazi sympathizer Franz Liebken, played by Will Ferrell, who they also cast in the leading role of Hitler. Cross-dressing homosexual actor-director Roger Debris, played by Gary Beach, is enlisted to direct and also ends up playing Hitler due to Franz breaking his leg on opening night. The humorous irony occurs when the play becomes an overnight sensation, placing Bialystock and Bloom in the crosshairs of not only investors but the law. In the same manner, Trump has rocked the foundation of the GOP establishment elite, directing his own rendition of Springtime for Hitler by repackaging Obama's hope and change as Make America Great Again. The difference being his self-funded campaign allows him to write his script as he goes, complete with rewrites of his positions in the past with zero accountability to his stated party, the special interest money that normally trumps the will of the electorate, and even the electorate itself. Trump has neutralized the media bias that normally reduces the will of the electorate to a choice between the lesser of two evils, and has actually forced the media elites into an unwilling alliance, garnering more attention than all the other candidates from both parties combined, all at no cost to him or his campaign. Here's the madness. Anyone who believes Trump's path to the White House will steer around a brokered convention believes so under a dangerous false pretense. Those who believe such an action by the elites would result in an uprising of an enraged electorate that would march on Washington or stay home from the polls, depriving them of the victory they claim they seek, simply do not understand today's GOP. The dangerous false pretense I speak of is the elitists care what we think. The issues that matter to us mean absolutely nothing to today's GOP establishment. The evidence is obvious to anyone that takes just a moment to observe what has happened over the last 7+ years under Obama. Today's GOP does not want to govern conservatively. In fact, they wish not to govern at all. To support a Trump nomination is the kiss of death. If Trump runs against Hillary, the elitists on the other side, and loses, this allows the GOP elites to continue to talk a conservative game before surrendering to their enemies because they have, quote, no power. If the GOP wins the White House with Trump or even Cruz, they risk being exposed as people who would rather have Hillary. In the name of self-preservation, that cannot happen. The hard truth is today's electorate proves Jonathan Gruber's theorem. The stupidity of the American voter is the premise by which both establishments, left and right, chart their agenda, count their candidates, and govern, or don't govern. In the same way leftists believe in the creation of utopia, too many on our side believe the likes of Trump will induce a change in Congress that will restore our republic. Both are delusional. We might as well be learning our new national anthem, Der Guten Tag Hauptklop, the sacred Siegfried Oath from Springtime for Hitler. This is John Matthews for Moments of Madness.
Folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. Welcome back. You're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, man, prophet of the airways, on a mission from God, and that mission is to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We do that on this show by educating, informing, and engaging you, our listening audience. And we're glad you took the time to join us this afternoon. I've been kind of on a lengthy, for lack of a better phrase, we'll use the leftist term here, a white man rant, angry white man rant here. I am just, my pet peeve here, amongst all the things that are going on out in the political world, is this narrative that continues to control and divide this country. And that is the issue of racism. And I can understand and empathize with people who feel that they may be getting the short end of the stick based on their color, culture, gender, preference, or whatever. But these things are self-perceived. They're self-perceptions. There is nothing in our government, in its makeup or its structure or infrastructure, that will keep anybody down that is determined to rise above their circumstances. We have a long history of this country of people, even back during the days of slavery. There is a long list of people, blacks, that rose above their conditions to become very affluent, very influential people within our government and across our nation. And it's out there. It's out there. If anybody really wants to do the research, people like Frederick Douglass, Washington Carver, people like this. I remember watching a documentary, I can't remember the lady's name, the young black slave woman who designed her own makeup line and became, through all intents and purposes, very wealthy. Owned a car, drove around. She had her own company, that kind of stuff. And on the same level, on the same plant, is that there were black slave owners. There were those who owned had their own plantations that they had obtained through whatever means, and owned black slaves, and some of them were as wealthy, if not wealthier, than many of the white plantation owners. So this whole idea that it's always been whites oppressing blacks is a lie. That's not to say that we should just discard our history and just say, okay, well, because they did it, it's okay that we did it. It's not okay if anybody did it. But the point being is that if people are determined enough, they will rise above their circumstances. And you can go as far as you choose to go, or you can limit yourself to whatever level you want to limit yourself. So I get very incensed. I'm a conservative. I have been a Republican conservative for many, many years. Left the Republican Party a few years ago after the 2012 election, I believe it was, when the Senate became the Senate majority, when we retook the Senate, and we discovered very shortly thereafter the Republicans had no intention of doing what they had promised to do. I felt marginalized. Once again, I left. See, I did something. I didn't sit there and say, "Oh, you know what? You got to give me preferential treatment because you're oppressing me. You're oppressing my ideologies." No, I went and found a party that represents what I believe much more. It's called the Conservative Party USA, and I joined them, and here I am still fighting the fight. But my point is that this whole narrative about
the idea that blacks are still being oppressed. I'm not saying some of you are not being discriminated against. I'm not saying that racism in America is dead. What I am saying is that racism is now transcend race, and now is being out there perpetrated just as much by blacks and Hispanics and even the Asian community, and certainly the Islamic community, in a way that's never been out there the way that it is now. That's not a good choice of words, but you get my drift. Now, I was talking about these events. I talked about, first of all, this protester showed up at a Clinton fundraiser, all-white fundraiser. She was the only black that attended, paid $500 to get in there, to inform Hillary Clinton that her husband's passage of the 1994 Violent Control Act, what was it called? Let's get it. I want to get the right name up here so I can make sure that it was the Violent Crime Control Act of 1994, which Hillary Clinton's husband put through into legislation or signed. And and at the time, Hillary Clinton referring to the black community as super predators. And this woman wanted to make Hillary understand that Black Lives Matter, and therefore she's not a super predator. Hillary just basically discarded, or just, was annoyed that this woman interrupted her little speech to white people who are looking for favors should she get elected, or soccer moms that want to feel good about the earth, climate change, or those activists that want to be able to kill babies in the womb or be able to marry anybody of any sex they want. The real issues, the things that are the most important to liberal America. And then we talked about Melissa Harris Perry leaving or being fired from MSNBC because she was upset that her show was preempted for campaign coverage. She felt that what she had to say was more important than what the candidates were saying that are going to be elected and run the country. Then we come to the big one, the big event that took place over the weekend, Disneyland. There was a Ku Klux Klan rally out here in California in Anaheim. I don't believe it took place, it didn't take place at Disneyland, but because Anaheim is where Disneyland is founded, that was the headline, okay? The home of Disneyland, the self-proclaimed happiest place on earth, is also the town where the Ku Klux Klan once ran the city council, burned crosses, and rallied 10,000 people in a city park. Now, check this out. Now, you read that first line, and what do you think? Oh, Anaheim is a home to racists. But this rally that they're talking about here, the home of the Ku Klux Klan, once ran the city council, burned crosses, and rallied 10,000 people in City Park. Was in 1924. 1924. And they're still being painted as a racist city because the Ku Klux Klan showed up at a demonstration on Saturday. Ku Klux Klan members pulled up in a rally they had advertised in advance. They went through all the legal process here. They got the permits, they got permission to have their rally, and it was going to be a White Lives Matter rally. Now, apparently, not too many people showed up. My understanding is that there was about, let's see if they even give the number here. It was a very small gathering. Okay? Seven of the blah, 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 blah. It doesn't really say here how many, but there weren't that many. When you see the video, there were not that many Klansmen that showed up. However, there was a protest. So somebody on the Black Lives Matter side found out about this Klan rally and gathered their own people to do a counter protest. Okay? It evolved into a confrontation. The confrontation, there were 5 people, 3 people were stabbed, and many were arrested. I think they arrested 3 Klansmen and 7 Klansmen, okay? And then 30 counter-protesters 30 people from the Black Lives Matter movement were arrested for assault. The article goes on to then repaint, and re-put in front of you, revisualize the 1924 Anaheim that had Ku Klux Klan members on their city council. Now, let's remember back in 1924. 1924, California was pretty much a renegade frontier. The oil was a big thing out here. There's oil wells. You see pictures of Huntington Beach and Signal Hill, Long Beach. Some of these cities that are major metropolitans right now are major cities. They were just oil wells next to each other all over the place. My family moved out here in 1959. And Huntington Beach at that time was the beach and oil wells all over the place. Very few housing because the landscape and everything else. Huntington Beach in those days was pretty much a swampland. And because of the floods that had come in and turned the place into a swamp and everything else, and they drained that into what they now call Channel Islands. They drained all that water in there, dried the land up. But it was for oil wells. So the idea being is that the Ku Klux Klan is bad. Now, here's where we get into the narrative. People wanted to know why Donald Trump would not or did not disavow being endorsed by David Duke, the head of the KKK. And now Trump could have been lying, or he might have been telling the truth. He basically said, I don't know this guy. I don't accept their endorsement. I don't I don't even know who he is. And he has been just like, remember when he was at the rally and the one woman stood up and talked about Obama being a Muslim or an Arab or something like that? And Trump didn't do anything or didn't stop her, didn't correct her as Marco Rubio just did. Over a week ago at a rally where some woman said something about him, about Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton being a traitor. That was it, Hillary Clinton being a traitor. And he stopped the woman, just like John McCain did back in 2008, and corrected her because he didn't want to deal with the media fallout. Donald Trump ignored it. Donald Trump said, "What is Obama going to defend me? Why should I care what somebody else thinks? If somebody else thinks he's a Muslim or an Arab or a traitor or whatever, that's their belief." Well, here he just says, "I don't know who this guy is. I don't, big deal. Who is he?" And he's being painted as a racist, as a hater, because he wouldn't stand up and say something disparaging about this person. And here we go. It's the Black Lives Matter narrative. You can't have a non-opinion. You can't say, I have no opinion without being called a hater. How bad is that? How bad is that? We got to go to a break. When we come back, we'll finish up our rant today. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
we're back. You're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. Again, you want to visit our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, and you can find out everything you want to know about our show. Download our archives, listen to the show, any of them, theconservativesyndicate.net. Okay, back to this issue here, this event that took place over the weekend, Saturday out here in Anaheim, California. Anaheim is about 20 minutes south of where I live out here in Southern California, so I know exactly the area. In fact, I grew up about a mile away from Disneyland as a kid, so I understand the area. I understand the community. Of course, it has changed. The demographics of the community has changed. But when we moved here in 1959, it was mostly, I have to be honest, mostly white and Mexicans here, okay? And it is what it is. You know, that's the way it was. It was Huntington Beach and places like this were oil towns, and the oil industry was a thriving enterprise here and everything else. So, but now what the media is trying to do here with this event, this is what happened. I'm going to give you the exact details here. I kind of dressed over it here in the last segment here, but this is what happened here. There were 6 Klan members who pulled up in an SUV to hang out signs for their rally that they had petitioned and been approved to hold. Now, the city council came back and said, we don't agree with the Klan, but they have the right to free speech, and they have the right to have this rally, and they went through all the proper motions. They did all the right stuff. They were entitled to do what they wanted to do. 6 of them. But to meet them there was dozens of protesters from the Black Lives Matter movement. And they immediately swarmed on the car, smashed the window of the car, and then the SUV sped away, leaving 3 of the Klansmen dressed in black shirts standing there with Confederate flags and outnumbered by these dozens of Black Lives Matter counter-protesters. 6 people showed up, 3 were left behind, and they had to face the crowd. So what did the Klansmen do? They defended themselves. One of them stabbed one of the protesters with a flag. He had an eagle at the end of the flag. He stabbed him with a flag. Meanwhile, the counter-protesters were stomping on the other Klan members. They were kicking them. They had them down and they were kicking them. By the end of the melee, it says 3 people have been stabbed, 1 critically, and a dozen others arrested. Now, here's the deal. If there had been Black Lives Matter coming there to set out signs, and Klansmen had been sitting there waiting for them, and had attacked them as soon as they showed up, what do you think the headline would be today? What do you think how would the media be playing this out? What it is here is that the Black Lives people are justified in attacking these Klan members. Why? Because the Klan represents racial hatred. But it's okay for the Black Lives Matter people to attack Americans who did everything legally, and even though their views are horrid and wrong, and everything that we attach to the Klan insignia, even though they're bad people with the wrong ideas, they still, under the First Amendment, had the right and were exercising that right. But just reverse the situation that if 6 Black Lives Matter had shown up at a place that they had designated as a protest, and the Klansmen were waiting for them when they showed up and attacked them, what do you think the headline would be today? And well, how do you think this would be played out? Well, I'll tell you how it was played out. David Duke, the head of the Klan, endorses Donald Trump. Donald Trump says, I don't even know who the guy is. Again, I don't know if Trump's lying or not. I think Trump's almost as pathological as Obama when it comes to telling the truth. But I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He doesn't really know who David Duke is. All right? The point being is that Trump is now being attached to the Klan simply because he wouldn't renounce the endorsement. The position of Trump is the same. Who the hell is this guy? He's not relevant. Here's the argument that I'm making. The reason why these things are happening is that they're given relevance and they're given credibility by those who want to continue to perpetrate and carry the narrative that all white people, outside of those who sympathize or empathize with black people, are bad people. It's white America that's made us this oppressive empire. And forget about the fact that we're the most powerful, most prosperous. We're founded by white people, and white people who, by the way, almost didn't come into existence because of the fight for equality, but later did. Remember the big fight over ratifying the Constitution was whether to free slaves or not. The Founding Fathers wanted to free slaves, and some of them didn't for economical reasons. And so they decided, okay, we'll hold this issue off for right now because they couldn't get the thing passed if they were going to stick to their guns. But later on, what happened? Abraham Lincoln, a Republican, created the Republican Party for the purpose of freeing the slaves. And then the 1964 Civil Rights Act designated them as citizens just like everybody else, the right to vote, the right to equality, the right to be protected against discrimination, all those things. And we're still sitting here fighting a civil war of words based on a narrative that has been contrived for the purpose of exploiting the very people they claim to be protecting or representing. So this whole idea of this whole thing about Black Lives Matter, what it is, it's one of those things that caught fire. It caught fire. And so the leftists, black, white, in between, I'm sure the Hispanics are trying to figure out how to use it to their advantage. Each one of them is exploiting this movement for power. It's all about power. Hillary Clinton wants to exploit Black Lives Matter. She wants to make a big deal about it when she's out on the campaign trail. But when she's behind closed doors in front of a bunch of white people doling out $500 a pop, it's not an issue. Let's get back to the real issues. The real issues is what can we do as white Americans to promote white America? And by the way, if we have to do it at the expense of the minority community, so be it. Same thing with homosexuals. You guys think that Hillary Clinton really gives a horse's patoot about your gender preferencing and whether you find quote-unquote love in the arms of another person of the same sex? No, you are a voting bloc that she can pander to. I bet you her and Bill make fun of you as they sit at home watching their porn on their laptops. At least Bill would. Of course, Bill might like it because he's into that kind of stuff. But anyway, I'm digressing here. This is all about exploiting. And you people are as ignorant on your side as we are becoming on our side. You people that support Trump and think that he's the, I understand this is not about ideology. I understand it's about anger. But in your anger, you are following an irrational path to a solution. Because Donald Trump, like Barack Obama, is about Donald Trump, just as Obama is about Obama. And if you think this man sitting in the White House is going to bring a solution to what ails America, you are in for a rude awakening, because this is all going to be about how Trump advances Trump. In the end, that's what it's all going to be about. Just like with Obama, it's all about Obama is going for world dominance. Obama's out there wanting to be head of the UN. Hillary Clinton wants to make him a Supreme Court judge, for crying out loud. Somewhere where he can exert more power over the lives of those he considers to be too ignorant and unworthy to do anything. Anyway, we're done for the day. We are done for the day. We will be back tomorrow. Same time here, 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock out here in the West Coast, and 6 o'clock out in the East Coast. And then I got to cue my good buddy up here, Rick, over at Shake and Wake Radio. What happened to his contact here? There he is. Okay, we're done for today. Visit our website, theconservativesyndicate.net. We love y'all. Thank you for your loyalty. We'll be back tomorrow.
Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Conservative Syndicate, the globally syndicated, politically incorrect talk show that seeks to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We want to make you aware you can find and access all of our show archives at our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, as well as our broadcast stations and times. That's the conservativesyndicate.net. We so appreciate you taking time to tune in, and we so look forward to continuing to bring you the best and uncompromised talk radio available on the net today. And remember, folks, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down in life. It only matters how many times you get up. I'm John Matthews, signing off until next time, right here on the Conservative Syndicate. God bless you, and may God continue to bless America.